tent maker for Jesus. Bible treasure, Acts 18 verse 1 to 3. Have you ever seen tents made from animal skin? Aquila and Priscilla were known as tent makers.
There were no sewing machines, so they sewed large tents by hand with huge needles. Tent making was a job for them to bring home money. They were a loving Christian couple. Paul, also a tent maker, met Aquila and Priscilla when he was travelling to different cities. They welcomed Paul into their home and worked with him in the city of Corinth.
Priscilla and Aquila also made tents with Paul. As they all worked together, Paul would share God's word with them. They learned a lot from Paul. Paul stayed a long time in Corinth and continued sharing the gospel during that time. Aquila and Priscilla wanted to help Paul teach the word of God to others. They enjoyed it so much that they decided to go on a mission trip with Paul.
It would be a new experience, but they were happy to share how good God was to them. Paul has been such a good friend to us. I'm so excited that we're joining him on this mission trip, Priscilla exclaimed joyfully. Aquila agreed with Priscilla. Yes, God has been blessing us through this ministry of tent making and friendships. Paul, Aquila and Priscilla packed up their belongings to go on the mission trip. They travelled by boat to share the gospel with as many people as they could. It was like a tour of many cities to share the love of God.
They landed at Ephesus, which was one of the largest cities of that time. They had travelled to different places, telling people about Jesus. People were very excited to hear about the word of God, and many people believed and became Christians. It must have been such an amazing sight to see crowds come to hear about God. Aquila, Priscilla and Paul stayed for a while in Ephesus. Paul left Aquila and Priscilla behind in Ephesus to continue travelling and sharing the word of God. Many people turned their hearts and lives to God and became Christians because of the hospitality of Aquila and Priscilla. To Paul and many others, people came to know the one true God. There are many ways that we can share the good news about God too. God can give you a talent or gift to help others. You can serve God through music, preaching, teaching, sewing, clothes, or many other ways. It's your turn. Have you ever travelled on a world tour of countries or maybe visited some states where you live? Did you meet new people and taste interesting foods? If you can't travel to other places, can you still tell others about Jesus? You could write them a note. You could tell some stories about him. And do you have friends that can help you share the love of God? What creative ideas could you come up with together?